This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Let's get right into the news. There's so much to unpack here with Bleu Davinci. I watched this interview with him. And in the interview, he's basically saying he bigs Big Meech up in a lot of ways, but takes away a lot of things in a lot of ways. Like, he's like, yo, Big Meech wasn't spending all that money in the club. We all were. You know, but Big Meech is the reason why everybody had money, because he was supplying everybody, giving everybody an opportunity to make money. And they were making him money, too. He's like, hey, it depends how many of us were in the club. If there were, if there was, 60 of us in the club, we all spent 10 grand, it's this much money, it's like, exactly. Yeah, it would have been a lot of money spent in the club, but it doesn't take away that was BMF. Everybody always said it was BMF. It wasn't just Big Meech. Big Meech was the leader. The leader gets gets all the accolades. Tim Cook is the leader of Apple right now. He gets all the accolades. Steve Jobs was the creator. He gets all the accolades, right? But it takes a team. So he goes very far. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this, right? He goes very far in this interview by saying, like, nobody would know about BMF if it wasn't for me. I did the logo. I did all the strategic things. Because of me, we were all wearing 60 shirts in one place, spending all this money with all these cars and everything. And then he goes on to paint like he built up Jeezy's career. And BMF did help Jeezy's career. But he was like, he was driving around in my SL, my Ferrari, and my this and that. It's like, dude, you were the artist. That wasn't even your SL, and that wasn't your Ferrari. That was Big Meech's stuff, because you weren't moving any weight. To you, you say you weren't moving any weight. You say you were the artist, and you were the guy doing the record label stuff. You weren't doing anything to earn that SL. You were getting paid to do the artist stuff, but you weren't making, like, brick money. Bleu Davinci's cool, but it's like, he takes this a little far. Like, his battle with Jeezy and his timelines are off from I know he lived it, but from every other member of BMF that tells this story, Big Meech was in Atlanta in the 90s, late 90s. To him, they moved to Atlanta in 2001. And then everything happened in 2003. They met Jeezy in 2003. They dressed him like an LA guy in 2003 and got him dressing differently and rapping differently. And then in 2003, they said he signed all his deals to Def Jam and everything, which I really think that happened a year or two later. But signed all his deals. I think it happened the next year, actually. Signed all his deals, backstabbed them, didn't sign with them. And in that year, they launched the BMF label. It's like everything happened very fast, right? Maybe it did happen that fast. I don't know. But it just doesn't seem realistic. And then he said he was done with Jeezy once he signed all those record deals, because he says because Meech got in trouble and everyone had to go home, he was able to trick Meech into, like, being his friend, because he was the only, Meech was on house arrest, and Bleu Davinci would send Jeezy over there to, like, hold him down with, like, girls and whatever he needed. And they became cool, and he was wearing all Meech's jewelry. I don't know, bro. As far as I know, Jeezy was kind of getting his own money as well, and they'd be around each other. J-Bo even describes it like that. I believe J-Bo's side of things way more than I believe. I believe Bleu Davinci understands how music was working a little more back then, because he was with Fabulous and everybody, but everybody wanted to be around Meech. They didn't want to be around Bleu Davinci. Bleu Davinci was not a great rapper. Still is not a good rapper. Okay? And I just think he overinflates and everything. And he played, according to a lot of people back then, he really played into that Jeezy Gucci Man beef a little too much. Like, supposedly he wanted to buy the song from Gucci Man, the So Icy song that Jeezy was on, and put himself on it. Yet he has all this money, right? He said he has an SL and all this stuff. If they wanted $100,000, he believed it was worth $100,000. Why didn't he pay Gucci $100,000? He says Meech wouldn't give him the $100,000 because Meech said the song wasn't worth $100,000. He said, "I'm not paying $100,000 for a song." But meanwhile, Meech was paying $100,000 in studio time to to make songs. If that song was already working, it was worth $100,000, right? It's buying your way in the game. That's how things sparked off for Gucci Mane and Jeezy, in a sense. Like, that was the first song. And he says that he kind of played the middleman in that situation, and people say that things went left after that, and that's when Jeezy had beef with Gucci Mane, and eventually Pookie Loc, there was a bounty put out for Gucci's chain. Pookie Loc ran into, set Gucci Mane up with some girl, and, Pookie Loc died, right? Now, if that happened so close, Bleu Davinci's like, oh no, I already didn't mess with Jeezy anymore at that time. That was like a month later or 2 months later. Like, am I wrong, or these timelines? Maybe it was, it's weird because I remember that happening in like 2005. Because I was definitely doing the Come Up DVD around that time with Fendi. And I remember going down to interviewing Gucci Mane in Atlanta. And we brought that up, and he wouldn't really want to talk about it because it was so recent. He had just gotten out of that. Who knows, man? And around that time, I think MEECH had already been locked up or right about to get locked up because they were on the Smack DVDs like crazy. When I saw them on the Smack DVDs, I was like, oh, these guys are going to jail, bro. They got way too many cars, billboards. I remember when I first came to Atlanta and I saw those billboards. Was that 04? Right around 04. 03, that was the first time I ever came to Atlanta. I was just still in college. But I was working with Cormega at the time. We came to Atlanta. And I saw that billboard, and he explained. I didn't even know what it was, honestly. Someone black says, well, I'm not going to say the guy's name, but he owned let's just say he owned a sandwich shop, and he was friends with Cormega, and he told us about it, and I was like, wow. And they were telling about those parties with the giraffes and everything. I guess it's right when he beat that case against Wolf, or from beating the murder charge. So he denies setting up Gucci Mane. He denies snitching on the limo, but he keeps saying, check the paperwork. What? But he keeps saying, I read the paperwork. Why didn't he have the paperwork for this interview? He keeps talking about paperwork, but's not able to produce a single piece of paperwork in the interview. If you have all this paperwork proving you never did anything, and it was this other person and this person did this. He says he lost respect for MEECH for working with that girl that's involved in the BMF series. Supposedly she snitched on something and in 2009. And when Bleu Davinci found out about this and he was talking to MEECH in 2017, that was the last conversation they had, he said. I don't know. Big MEECH is more proven than Bleu Davinci. Bleu Davinci tried to make it in music with Big Meech's money. And I can probably understand that Big Meech was probably a little stubborn on how to move in the music industry because he was so used to quick money, and I can understand Bleu Davinci's frustration on that because he saw a way out for Big Meech to become like a Suge Knight type of deal and make legal money and not have to worry about everything all the time. But I think it was already too late at that point. But like, if they were going to make it out of the game, it would have had to have been like 2001, 2002, they just missed their moment. And then he's talking about, we paid for this for Jeezy, paid for studio time, paid for this. But you guys everyone was working together at that time, I guess. They were paying for records to be played for. I remember them saying they paid for T.I. records to get played in the club. Big Meech had a lot to do. He liked being around famous people, and famous people like being around him because they like to be around someone that's making a lot of money in the streets. Puff Daddy, everybody liked being around that stuff. I don't know, man. Then Bleu Davinci's like, I'm a gamer now. Go check his gaming channels. They don't have any for game. He's like, yo, I'm always ahead of the curve. I want to be like T Grizzly and them. Dude, you'd have to be gaming all the time. You're nowhere near a gamer yet. You have like 100 followers. And you got to start somewhere. But don't brag about being a gamer yet until you have more than 32 followers on Twitch. Please. It's just crazy, bro. I'm a gamer now. I don't know, man. Bleu Davinci seems like he's doing okay, right? Like, he's got his car rental places and everything, and he's doing well, but, man, I don't know. It's crazy out here with these interviews, with these BMF interviews. So many people were telling conflicting stories. It's crazy. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Peace.